The moment you stop texting, he notices. The moment you stop caring, he wonders. And the moment you go silent, he starts to break. Let me ask you something. What if silence is the most powerful thing you could ever say? What if the most devastating response is no response at all? You see, there's a secret about men that no one tells you. They don't realize what they had when you're there. They realize it in the echo of your absence. And that's what we're diving into today. This video isn't about revenge. It's not about games. It's about understanding the psychology of time and how your silence, your distance, and your emotional detachment become the most magnetic forces you'll ever have. Because here's the truth. The longer he goes without you, the louder the silence becomes. At first, he's unbothered, maybe even relieved. But time has a cruel way of showing a man what he lost, when you're no longer there to prove your worth every day. So if you've walked away, or if he pushed you away, don't chase, don't explain, don't beg for closure. Let time break him. Let the silence speak. Let the version of you he took for granted become the version he'll never get again. Because this time, your power isn't in what you say. It's in what you no longer give. Let's begin. He thinks you'll wait forever because you always have. You answered every text. You forgave every time he pulled away. You made excuses for his emotional distance. You gave him more chances than he ever earned. And so in his mind, he doesn't see you as someone who will walk away. He sees you as someone who can't. Men notice patterns. They may not say it out loud, but subconsciously they start to believe they have time. Time to figure it out. Time to make up their mind. Time to come back when they're ready. He assumes your heart is a revolving door, open when he wants in and still spinning when he walks out. And that's not because you're weak. It's because you're loving. Because you believed in him. Because you saw something real, even when he acted like he didn't. But here's the truth. He confused your loyalty for permanence. He thought just because you stayed through the confusion, the mixed signals and the silence, that you'd keep staying no matter how long he disappeared. He thinks you're waiting right now, waiting for him to call, waiting for him to come back and choose you when he's done chasing distractions or healing from past wounds he never told you about. He thinks he can lose you temporarily and still win you permanently. Why? Because he's never truly felt the loss of you. Not the kind where your energy shifts, where your heart detaches, where your love no longer feels available, not out of bitterness but out of growth. And here's the part no one talks about. The reason he thinks you'll wait forever is because you've been his emotional safety net. No matter how far he strayed, he knew your heart was still within reach. He counted on your softness. He relied on your forgiveness. He thought your empathy would keep the door cracked open, just enough for him to walk back through when his world felt cold. But at some point, even the softest heart gets tired. Even the most patient soul reaches a limit. And that's the part that shocks him, not the silence, but the fact that you mean it this time. That you're not posting to make him jealous. You're not ignoring him to punish him. You're just done. Because eventually we all wake up and realize that waiting is no longer love, it's self-betrayal. And while he's out there assuming you're frozen in time, holding space for him to come around, you're already becoming the woman who will never wait again. Let him believe you'll wait forever until one day he finally turns around and you're not there anymore. That's when it hits. That's when the silence becomes pain. That's when time starts breaking him from the inside out. And by then, it's too late. You didn't move on out of revenge. You moved on because you finally realized you were never supposed to wait forever. When you're gone, a man's mind doesn't immediately spiral. At first, it feels like freedom, relief, space. He tells himself this is what he needed: distance, quiet, no pressure. The routine of your presence fades just enough for him to convince himself he's fine. And in the beginning, he probably is. Men often compartmentalize emotions. They don't feel everything all at once. Their emotional processing runs behind schedule. What hurts you in the moment often hits him much later, when the damage has already been done. While you're in the thick of healing, crying, reflecting, he's distracting, avoiding, pretending. He'll drown himself in noise. Friends, work, social media, maybe even someone new. Anything to silence the truth he doesn't want to face, that you're not there anymore. But here's where it shifts. As days pass and the messages stop, and your name no longer lights up his phone, the silence he once celebrated begins to feel different. It starts out subtle. He wonders why you haven't checked in. He checks your stories just to see if you're okay. Then comes the confusion. Why aren't you reaching out? Why aren't you reacting the way you used to? That's when his mind starts filling in blanks. He replays moments, the arguments, the laughs, the way you supported him when he didn't deserve it. He starts to notice what's missing, not just you, but how he felt when he was with you. The comfort, the admiration, the access, that energy that made him feel like he was enough, even on his worst days. He realizes it's not there anymore, and it's not something he can replace. This is when his ego begins to crumble. At first, he thought you'd be waiting. Now he's not so sure. The silence becomes heavier. He checks your profile more often, wonders if you've moved on. The same freedom he once enjoyed now feels like a void, a constant reminder that you were real, and he might have lost you for good. And it gets darker. He may try to reach out indirectly, a like, a random text, a memory sent as a joke, but your response or lack of it tells him everything. You're not who you used to be. He can feel your shift, and it scares him. This is the mind of a man in absence. At first, he escapes the feelings, then they catch up, and by the time he feels the full weight of your loss, you're no longer emotionally available to cushion his fall. Time isn't kind in these moments. It stretches, it reminds, it stings, and he starts to realize something devastating. You were the real thing, and now he's stuck with echoes, memories, regret, all the things he used to have, now locked behind a door he never thought you'd close. And that's the power of absence. It doesn't hurt him right away, but when it finally does, it's loud. Regret doesn't hit all at once. It builds, slowly, quietly, and then all at once. When he first loses you, there's a strange confidence he carries. He tells himself it's temporary, that you'll be back, that you'll come around like you always have. He thinks time is on his side, that you'll miss him before he misses you. And for a while, maybe that's true, but time has a way of telling the truth. What he doesn't realize is that while he's assuming you're still emotionally anchored to him, you're already beginning to release. Every day you go without his presence is another day you get stronger. Meanwhile, every day he goes without your energy is another day the regret starts forming, even if he doesn't feel it yet. At first, it's denial. He ignores the thoughts, buries himself in distraction. He convinces himself he's okay, that he made the right choice, or worse, that you were never really going to leave. But time doesn't stop. It keeps moving, and with it comes space, distance, silence, and in that silence, something begins to shift. He starts to notice how empty things feel without you, not just physically, emotionally. No one laughs at his dumb jokes the way you did. No one checks in on him like you used to. The comfort of your care, your loyalty, your softness, it lingers like a ghost. It's everywhere, even when you're not. He scrolls through old photos, rereads old messages, tries to remember why he ever felt unsure, and suddenly, the memories don't bring peace, they bring pain. That's what regret is. The realization that what you had was rare, and it's gone. And the worst part, time only makes it worse. Regret intensifies because the longer he waits, the more he sees you healing, evolving, smiling again, posting like your heart isn't broken anymore. The woman who once would have waited, called, forgiven, now looks untouchable. He watches from a distance as your light gets brighter, and suddenly he's aware of what he traded. He didn't just lose you, he lost the version of you that still believed in him. Now time is no longer his ally. It becomes the mirror he can't look away from. The more time passes, the more permanent your distance becomes. The door that once seemed slightly ajar now feels bolted shut, and that's when the regret turns into panic. He wants to undo it, rewind it, fix it, but time doesn't offer those options. Time offers one thing only: consequence. The consequence of not choosing you. The consequence of underestimating your silence. The consequence of learning too late that real love doesn't wait forever. Regret intensifies because time is a cruel teacher. It doesn't whisper, it screams. It repeats the lesson until he understands. And by then, you're no longer listening. And that's when he breaks. Not because you're gone, but because deep down, he knows you're never coming back. No contact isn't a strategy for revenge. It's a mirror. One of the most powerful, honest, and painful mirrors a man will ever face. When you go silent, truly silent, it removes all the distractions. It strips away the comfort he got used to. There are no more check-ins, no more just thinking about you texts, no more emotional safety net. It's quiet, still, unpredictable. And that silence, that's where the truth gets loud. Because now there's no more reaction from you to feed his ego. No reassurance to soften his guilt. He's alone with his thoughts, his choices, his own reflection. And that's where the mirror begins to work. No contact doesn't chase, it reflects. It doesn't convince, it reveals. At first, he might act like he doesn't care. He may even convince himself it's a good thing. He might try to fill the silence with distractions. Parties, friends, social media, maybe even someone new. But what he doesn't realize is that distraction only delays the damage. It doesn't erase it. Eventually the noise dies down. The people leave, the thrill fades, and all he's left with is the absence of you. And in that emptiness, he's forced to look inward. For the first time, he has to sit with the uncomfortable truth of what he did or didn't do that led you to walk away. That's the power of no contact. It turns the light inward. He begins to see the things he ignored while you were still there. The way you loved without limits. The loyalty you gave without condition. The patience you showed when you were hurting too. And now that you're gone, those memories hit differently. They're no longer sweet. They're haunting. Without your presence to affirm him, he starts questioning everything. Was I good to her? Did I take her for granted? Was she the one? These aren't just passing thoughts. They become looping reflections that grow heavier with time. Because in silence there's no mask, no performance, just the raw, unfiltered version of himself, the one who pushed away someone who only ever tried to love him. He may not admit it out loud, but the mirror doesn't lie, and every time he looks at it, he sees the same thing. He lost someone who was never supposed to leave. No contact gives him no control. No explanation, no emotional closure, and that's exactly what makes it effective. It's not about hurting him, it's about removing the comfort that allowed him to avoid accountability. And when that comfort is gone, the truth begins to echo. No contact says you don't get access just because you miss me. You don't get answers after ignoring the ones I gave you when I was still there. You don't get to come back to the same version of me you walked away from. And by the time he's ready to face the mirror and ask for another chance, he might realize what hurts most isn't just your silence. It's that you're not looking back. He doesn't realize it right away. That's the most frustrating part. You leave, you let go. And for a while, it looks like it didn't even faze him. He moves like nothing changed. Laughing, posting, living, and you wonder, did he even care? But time has a way of peeling back the surface, because what he realizes when you're gone doesn't happen in a single moment. It unfolds in stages. At first, it's quiet. He feels your absence, but he brushes it off. He assumes you'll check in, that you'll break the silence first, that you'll come back, like you always have. He still sees you through the lens of the girl who forgave too much and held on too long. But this time is different. This time, you didn't just leave. You stopped hoping. You stopped fighting for what he kept taking for granted. And when that finally starts to click, the weight of your absence hits harder than he expected. He realizes the little things first. How no one asks how he's really doing. How no one listens the way you did. How the comfort he once ignored now feels like something he's starving for. He sees it in the way his days feel quieter. In the way his phone doesn't light up at night. In the way his thoughts drift towards you when he least expects them to. Then the bigger realizations come. He realizes you weren't asking for too much. You were asking the wrong person. He realizes that love isn't something that just exists. It's something that has to be nurtured, protected, chosen. And he didn't choose you when it mattered most. He realizes that you didn't walk away because you stopped loving him. You walked away because you finally started loving yourself. That stings in a different way. Because now he knows you didn't lose interest. You just lost patience. You got tired of being the only one trying. And now he's the one trying. But you're not there to see it. He replays moments, tries to make sense of where he went wrong. He thinks about the times you asked him to open up, to communicate, to meet you halfway. And he remembers brushing it off, thinking you'd always be around. He thought your love would wait forever. Now he realizes it had an expiration date. And he ignored the signs. This is what haunts him. Not just that you're gone, but that you gave him every chance, and he wasted them. He realizes you were his peace, his softness, his reminder that real love does exist, and now he doesn't know if he'll ever feel that again. He didn't just lose a girlfriend. He lost a woman who loved him at his lowest, and that kind of love doesn't come around twice. That's when it sinks in. You're not just gone, you're gone for real. And all he can do now is sit with everything he didn't see until it was too late. There's always a breaking point. It doesn't matter how strong he pretends to be, how silent he stays, or how many distractions he surrounds himself with. Eventually it hits him hard. And by then, it's not just about missing you. It's about everything he didn't say, didn't do, didn't realize until it was far too late. The breaking point doesn't come in the first few days. He's still in control then, still convinced you'll reach out, still believing he has time to figure things out on his terms. Maybe he's even telling himself he'll see how he feels after some space. But space doesn't bring clarity for him, it brings contrast. The longer you're gone, the more he starts to feel the weight of your absence, not just in his mind, but in his chest, in his body, in his daily life. At first, it's subtle. He's reminded of you by something random, your favorite song, a smell, a photo he forgot to delete. Then the reminders get closer together. He can't shake the feeling that something is missing. Not something, someone. The one who used to make him feel seen. The one who stayed when she had every reason to leave. The one who fought for him when he couldn't even fight for himself. And that's when it starts to hurt. Not in an obvious dramatic way, but in that quiet, soul-deep ache that creeps in when you realize you've lost something you didn't value enough. He can't laugh the same. Food doesn't taste as good. Sleep doesn't come as easily. And the worst part, he can't talk to you about it. The one person who always understood him is the one person who's no longer available. That's the breaking point. It's not about ego anymore. It's not about who was right or wrong. It's about the moment he realizes that this silence is permanent. That your love isn't just on pause, it's over. That you're no longer checking your phone, hoping for his name to pop up. That your heart is no longer waiting at the door he slammed shut. He starts to panic, not because he can't reach you, but because he knows that even if he did, you're not the same. You've changed, you've grown, you've detached, and suddenly, all the power he thought he had disappears. He remembers the last time you looked at him with love in your eyes, the last time you asked him to fight for the relationship, the last time you were soft, open, vulnerable, and how he let those moments slip away. That's when it hits him. You were never asking too much. You were offering more than most would even try to give. And now that offer is gone. You didn't walk away because you wanted to hurt him. You walked away because staying was starting to hurt you. That's the breaking point, when he finally feels what you felt and realizes you're not coming back. Staying in your power isn't about pretending you don't care. It's not about being cold, bitter, or emotionless. It's about knowing your worth so deeply that you no longer accept anything that doesn't match the energy you give. It's choosing yourself even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. Because real power isn't loud. It's quiet, steady, unshakable. It's the decision to not shrink yourself for someone who couldn't see your value when they had full access to you. When you walk away, especially from someone you once loved deeply, your mind will test you. You'll have days where the silence feels unbearable. Moments where you question if you did the right thing. You'll remember the good times and wonder if maybe, just maybe, things could have worked out. But staying in your power means honoring the part of you that finally said, enough. You didn't walk away because you stopped loving him. You walked away because you stopped abandoning yourself. You stopped begging someone to choose you while they kept proving they couldn't. And that choice to love yourself louder than their silence is what real strength looks like. Your power is in the pause, in not reacting when you want to, in not replying to the breadcrumb text, in not lowering your standards just to feel close to someone who never showed up fully. Your power is in the boundaries you now enforce, not just for others but for yourself. Staying in your power also means healing, not just moving on quickly or pretending you're over it, but really doing the work. Sitting with the pain, learning the lesson, choosing not to let heartbreak harden you, but refine you. Because your power isn't in being unbothered, it's in being emotionally mature enough to feel everything and still not go back to what broke you. You'll be tempted, especially when they start to realize what they lost. When they pop up with apologies, with I miss you texts, with empty promises wrapped in nostalgia. But your power isn't in how they come back, it's in how you don't. How you remember the version of yourself that cried for their effort and choose not to betray her again. There's nothing more powerful than a woman who doesn't need closure, who doesn't need validation, who doesn't need someone else to understand why she walked away. Her peace, her clarity, her growth, that's her power, that's your power. And the truth is, staying in your power often means walking alone for a while. But you won't always be alone, because the more you stand in your truth, the more you attract people who match your frequency. who love you from a place of respect, not convenience. So no, it's not easy, but you didn't come this far just to go back to someone who couldn't meet you where you are now. Your power is sacred, and the moment you truly stand in it, everything changes. Detachment isn't the absence of emotion. It's the presence of clarity. It's not about becoming cold or heartless. It's about choosing peace over chaos, self-respect over confusion, and inner alignment over external approval. When you detach from someone who couldn't love you right, you begin the most important transformation of your life. The one where you return to yourself. At first, it doesn't feel like growth. It feels like loss. Letting go of someone you were emotionally invested in. Someone you envisioned a future with. Someone whose potential you believed in. It hurts. Your heart will grieve. Not just them, but the version of you who kept trying. You'll feel the pull to check in, to reach out, to explain one more time why you deserved more. But transformation doesn't happen by holding on. It happens by releasing with grace. Detachment is a sacred decision. It's saying, I love you, but I won't lose myself to keep you. It's understanding that sometimes love alone isn't enough. Not if it costs your sanity, your dignity, your voice. And the moment you detach, everything shifts. You stop waiting. You stop hoping they'll change. You stop tying your worth to how much effort they do or don't give. Instead, you start coming home to yourself. In that space, healing begins. You start noticing how quiet feels peaceful, not empty. You start enjoying your own company again. You set goals, rediscover passions, and reconnect with the parts of yourself you buried in order to be enough for someone who never saw your full light. You realize that detachment isn't about bitterness. It's about breaking the habit of betraying yourself for temporary closeness. And slowly, your energy changes. You stop chasing. You stop proving. You stop showing up for people who never showed up for you. You start moving with intention, with confidence, with boundaries that protect your peace, instead of guilt-tripping you into compromising it. That's the transformation. The moment you stop living to be chosen and start choosing you, people will feel this shift, especially the one you walked away from. They'll sense it in your silence, in your glow, in your unapologetic refusal to go backward. That's when they might come back, confused by how calm you've become. But what they don't realize is that you've done the work. You're no longer available for emotional tug-of-war. You've learned that love should never require you to abandon yourself. Through detachment, you become whole again. And the most beautiful part, you don't even need revenge, closure, or their recognition. Your evolution speaks for itself. The peace in your presence, the joy in your solitude, the way your eyes light up when you talk about your dreams again. That's the reward. That's the power. You didn't just lose them, you found you. And that, right there, is the real transformation. Time is one of the most powerful tools you have, but it only works if you let it. When someone walks away, or you decide to step back, it's natural to want everything to happen fast, to want answers, closure, maybe even a second chance right away. But real growth, real healing, real transformation, those don't happen overnight. They happen in the quiet moments. The days and weeks when you're not chasing, not begging, not explaining. They happen when you let time do its work. Let time break the pain down piece by piece. Let it soften the sharp edges of your hurt. Because every day that passes without contact, without drama, without confusion, is a day you reclaim your power. A day you remind yourself that your worth isn't tied to someone else's choices or their timing. Time teaches you patience with yourself, with the process, with the unknown. Let time show you who you really are, without the noise, without the chaos of trying to hold on to something that's slipping away. You'll start to see your own strength, your resilience, and your ability to thrive independently. And when you finally come face to face with your truth, you'll realize something beautiful. You don't need anyone else to complete you. You are already whole. Let time work for you, not against you. Don't waste it wishing for what was or what could have been. Instead, invest it in rediscovering your passions, setting new goals, and building a life that feels good to you. Because when you focus on becoming your best self, everything else begins to fall into place naturally. Remember, time doesn't just heal wounds, it reveals what really matters. It separates what's temporary from what's permanent. It helps you move forward, stronger and wiser than before. So trust the process. Trust yourself. Let time be the ally that transforms your pain into power and your loss into growth. And above all, know that the best is yet to come. because the time you spend loving and honoring yourself is the time that changes everything.